Hello, I'm Annette Young and welcome to the 51%, a show about the women who are reshaping our world. Coming up, loud and proudly wearing the colour pink, we meet the American women activists who are taking a stand against war. Also, India is back in the headlines again after the gang rape of a foreign tourist, but are attitudes towards sexual violence changing? And an image you don't often see here in schools, boys being taught how to sew, how a French school is doing its bit to challenge gender stereotypes. But first, in Washington, D.C., a city very much dominated by suits, a group of protesters stand out. I'm talking about Code Pink, an anti-war protest movement. Now, the media-savvy, largely female members have disrupted everything from hearings on Capitol Hill to appearances by President Barack Obama. Our France 24 team went to meet the women in pink.
This is our brand new house. We just moved into it this week. It will, at some point, certainly be pink. Come on in.
Yes, Code Pink likes to do things differently. A modest HQ for an arguably small organisation, but with a big media impact.
And the predators of the world.
Code Pink protests happen where the cameras are, against the NRA after Newtown, against a military intervention in Syria, against the NSA, and against drones by interrupting the president himself.
You got to let me speak. I'm about to address it.
Commander-in-Chief.
Let me address it.
Close Guantanamo today.
Why don't you let me address it, ma'am?
Those 86 prisoners.
Why don't you sit down and I will tell you exactly what I'm going to do.
Today.
This is where and how the media impact of a protest is calculated by 5 women on this day, the motto of Code Pink being Women for Peace.
We think most of the world is run by men, and men certainly lead us into wars, and men are certainly the ones that, for the most part, are fighting the wars. And so we think we have a better chance at working for peace if it's led by women.
Medea Benjamin co-founded Code Pink in response to George W. Bush's war on terror. The funding comes from private donations, $250,000 per year. During the Obama years, membership numbers have dwindled somewhat.
We can make a lot of noise, and of course being visible in our pink helps a lot.
Well, for the last several years, we've really been focusing on drone warfare and trying to mobilize public opinion here in the U.S. To not look so favorably upon drones.
The closure of the Guantanamo Bay prison camp is also one of Code Pink's demands and part of its anti-war message, a message that can be sent by men, too.
Somewhat like this, and it really, if you want to get wild.
In 12 years, the group has made many a headline, for example, by getting a protester over the White House fence. This was last summer.
We know people in Congress. We are able to confront them. They listen to our message because it is a women's organization, because we're not afraid. We don't live in fear. And these women have gone around the world, gone to Afghanistan, Iran, to get the women's message out. And this is a message that needs to be heard worldwide. That's why I'm with Code Pink, and that's why I think we are effective.
The next stop for Code Pink is Geneva. As Syrian peace talks get underway, the group is holding their own alternative summit called Women Lead to Peace.
And that report by Philip Crowther in Washington. Joining me in the studio now is Ingrid Terwot, the South Asia editor at Courrier International, a French weekly that focuses on world affairs. Now, Ingrid, in a moment we're going to talk about the ongoing problem in regards to sexual violence in India. But first I want to ask you about your reaction to the story that we've just seen there. Now, they are very out there protesters, very much in the similar vein as, say, women who bare their breasts. But do you think such protests can be counterproductive?
Well, it's a very logical and very common question to ask about agitprop. What I'd like to say is that the point of this organisation, Code Pink, and other similar organisations, is to raise awareness. And the very fact that we're here in the studio talking about it after showing these images show that they are succeeding in some way. We are talking about them, so they are not completely, at least, counterproductive. On the contrary.
But do you think they turn people off?
Possibly. But the point is to talk about the issues. And indignation, outrage, can be productive.
Now, moving on to the situation in India, and once again the country's been back in the headlines over the gang rape of a foreign tourist. It does appear that sexual violence and sexual discrimination is very much firmly entrenched in Indian society.
It is very much so. The international media started talking about it about a year ago with the December 2012 gang rape, which was horrific. But there are cases of rape on the front pages of every Indian daily, every day. And now, recently, there's this, the case of this Danish woman being gang raped in Delhi. But sexual discrimination runs even much deeper. It starts even before birth. Female feticide and infanticide is a common practice all through India. Or almost all through India. The thing is, with India, it's very difficult to talk about Indian society. To be more accurate, one would need to talk about Indian societies. The reality varies greatly for women, whether they are in Kerala, in the south of India, or in Punjab, in the north. The level of discrimination varies greatly.
So what needs to be done?
I wish I could give you a very straightforward answer. A lot of things need to be done, and a lot of things are being done. It's not as if, Indians or the Indian government or the Indian civil society were completely passive about this topic. Not at all. There are a number of NGOs, for instance, who are trying to do things to help girls, children, female children particularly, to have an education. That's one way to approach the issue. The other issue would be, the other way to approach it would be to give a sum of money to parents who are expecting a baby girl, and encourage them to have it, and then to register that girl in school. Another way to do it would be to have a pension system, so that the future of the elderly, or the fate of the elderly, is not in the hands of sons and male offspring. So that's for the positive side. But the funds allocated by the government for female empowerment, and that's about 10 billion rupees. That was a year ago that this sum was allocated, and it's not been used.
I'm afraid I'm going to just have to leave it there for a moment, but there's a story here, Ingrid, that I think you'll probably be interested in, because I understand you've got 2 young sons currently being educated at French schools. And there's one school in Normandy that's trying to close the gender gap by challenging its pupils to rethink stereotypes. It's encouraging boys to get involved in activities traditionally associated with girls. And the result is that the sewing class now has more boys than girls, as Kate Rousseau reports.
Jan helps his mother do the housework.
It's pretty when it shines.
A literacy class with a hidden agenda. This group of 9 and 10-year-olds are being asked to identify male and female stereotypes within a text, and whether they resemble life in their own homes.
Let's look at who does which jobs in your house.
In this class, the answers speak for themselves.
In my house, everything's good. My dad is usually on the computer, my mum does the cleaning.
Well, Mum does more housework. And Dad, sometimes he does the ironing. He's usually on the computer.
The teacher is trying to get the children to think by themselves without straying too far off topic. His ideas come from a training session that gave a new perspective on gender stereotyping.
It's not about having discussions on neutrality and sweeping over the difference between men and women or boys and girls. We want to open their minds to the idea that children and adults can do anything they want. They shouldn't stop themselves doing what they want just because they're male or female.
In this school, it's the students who decide what activities they want to do. The sewing class has as many boys as it does girls, although the boys needed a little more encouragement to get involved.
The embroidery class has picked up as we've gone along. At the beginning there were more girls than boys, whereas now we've got 3 or 4 girls and the rest are all boys.
The teachers' work may stop at the school gates, but these children are taking the idea of gender neutrality home to their families and beyond.
Ingrid, given what you've just seen there, and given that you're also a mother of 2 young sons, how difficult is it to raise them so that they view women as being equal?
In a way, I think it's simpler to explain to 2 little boys that women and men are equal than it would be to explain the same thing to men, to grown-up men. But to give you a very personal example, when we were in India, because we used to live in India, my eldest son, who was then about 4 years old, told me that women cannot fight. So I went out of my way to tell him stories of great Indian female fighters, the Jhansi Ki Rani, for example, and he was astonished. No one had told him yet. And I think in France, because that's where we are now, a school does help in a great way with little things like the choice of extracurricular activities. The activities are assigned to the children; they don't get to pick, or the parents don't get to pick. My son, the same one, was assigned dance. He had to go to dance class, and he had to do arts and craft. Which I think is supposedly girly, but he was fine about it. There were as many boys as girls.
Ingrid Therwart, thank you so much for being with us. And that's it for this edition. If you'd like to comment what you've just seen, check out our Facebook page. That's France24/the51%, or do send us a tweet at _51%. We'd love to hear from you. And until our next program, bye for now.